President Joe Biden has a fascinating and I would argue smart strategy in campaigning for his infrastructure bill in GOP strongholds. The latest example is in Louisiana, where he was rallying today in support for his infrastructure bill. Biden will push the case for his $2.3 trillion infrastructure plan in the reliably Republican state of Louisiana, directly challenging GOP lawmakers who say that low taxes for corporations and the wealthy will fuel economic growth. The same trickle-down economics nonsense that has been proven incorrect, inaccurate over and over again for decades now. What I love about this is that the message that Biden has here is popular across the board. Whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, conservative, progressive, it doesn't matter. Everyone sees the crumbling infrastructure. Everyone knows that the country needs an infusion of federal funds in order to improve all around. And that's the case that Biden is trying to make today. Biden chose to speak in the city of Lake Charles in front of a 70-year-old bridge that is 20 years past its designed lifespan. And I think it's also smart that he decided to go to this particular location because it has been ravaged by hurricanes in a very short period of time. Here's a Vice News report that really helps you understand just how devastated that community has been.
Some breaking news in our national lead where Hurricane Laura is rapidly intensifying at this hour. The latest warning described unsurvivable.
The governor says emergency crews will start search and rescue missions as soon as it's safe to do so to help out our friends near the Lake Charles area and other parts of Southwest Louisiana.
Now, Delta made landfall in the same area hit by Laura, and the people there are still trying to get back on their feet.
If you would have looked out this window a couple months ago, you would have actually seen a lot more tarps on buildings. You would have seen a lot more blue roofs. And so that's kind of a good show of progress or sign of progress is you still see a lot, but it's not as many as it was 60 days ago. There's not a lot of communities in this country that can say right now that they went through everything else that 2020 has brought us in addition to two major hurricanes. And we have gone through that here in Lake Charles.
Do you know anybody out here that I could go stay with? We lost everything, and this is everything we own now. This is what we got left. They came this morning and told us we were too loud last night, that we were getting kicked out.
Every day somebody gets kicked out. Well, most time it's 2 or 3 people.
I need help, and I don't know where I'm supposed to get this help from. I'm hurt, I'm angry, I'm confused. I don't know what to do. They could have left us back home, and we would have been a lot better off than we are right now on these streets of New Orleans. It doesn't feel good at all. This is wrong.
Imagine finally going to the American people with solutions to the problems that they've been suffering for decades. And the fact that Biden has chosen this location, I think is strategic, I think it's smart, and I think it's the right thing to do. Cenk.
So the Republicans have proposed an alternative to the $2.2 trillion proposal, a $568 billion proposal. So
that would be paid for with regressive taxes.
Yes.
Gas taxes and things like that.
Yeah, well, I want to get to that in a second. So, but that's $1.7 trillion less, roughly, than the Biden proposal. So it's a fraction, okay? Number two, they stripped out everything that has to do with taking care of people, nursing folks, et cetera. And of course, as predicted, Green New Deal-like proposals, anything having to do with renewable energy. So now they want to negotiate on those grounds. Manchin will of course agree, Sinema will of course agree. And then Biden, well, we're gonna see. Is Biden just the same exact person as Joe Manchin, and this is all huffing and puffing and posturing about Republicans? And then at the end of the day, the Republicans can't kill it. Only Manchin and Sinema and other corporate Democrats can kill it. If Biden lets them and doesn't fight them, that means he actually is a corporate Democrat, just like Joe Manchin, and he's using them as an excuse. So all of this is just a photo op and theatrics and nothing else. If he actually fights against Joe Manchin, then you know Biden's for real, right? Because understand, Mitch McConnell cannot block the bill. He does not have enough votes. He needs other corporatists like Manchin in the Democratic Party. And so, look, we want to encourage him to go fight Manchin too. And we've got a petition on that, and we're asking you to participate because we want to get the message out. Stop Manchin. So we say, look, you're the president, not him. Set up shop in West Virginia and let voters there know who's really stopping vital federal funds from getting to that state and the entire country, by the way, back on track. And it's corporate Democrat Joe Manchin. Everybody knows that. Biden knows that. TYT.com/petition/stop Manchin. So it's wonderful that you're going to get in the grill of Republicans in Louisiana. I don't just say that lightly, because usually Democrats are too scared to do that. Obama almost never challenged Republicans, and Pelosi says she wants them to be stronger. Biden's constantly bear hugging them normally, but here he is now actually making his case in a deeply red state in an effective way. Great. Now let's take that to show to West Virginia where it would actually make a difference.
Yes, I totally agree. I think that it's time for Biden to play hardball with the corporate Democrats in the Senate. That I think should begin with Senator Manchin, because he's been the most vocal in stating that he will be an obstacle to passing the legislation that the Biden administration is proposing. But he needs to also take that fight to Arizona. He needs to take it to Virginia, where Mark Warner is. He needs to ensure that his little buddy, Chris Coons, fights on behalf of the legislation he's proposing. And you're right, Cenk, if he doesn't take that fight to these states and ensure that corporate Democrats do what they need to do to get this done, then we really need to question whether or not he really wants it.
Yeah, and so this petition, and we'll have a link down below if you're watching this video later on YouTube or Facebook. It's easy, just click on it, it'll get you there. But this petition isn't to hurt Joe Biden, it's to help Joe Biden so that he could say, hey, I've got pressure. I got pressure from progressives, I got pressure from people on the left, I got pressure from all my Democratic voters who are saying that I got to fight Manchin, and they're right, otherwise I can't pass these bills. I mean, I can pass a $69 billion version of it. That's what, a quarter of my original proposal? You know, Democrats always brag about getting half a loaf, although they never really do. This is like, that would be bragging about at most a quarter of a loaf, right? So he could either settle for a quarter of a loaf because that's actually what he wanted, or he could say, hey, look at this petition and all the pressure that's on. Well, look, I got to deliver for my voters. Look, everyone watching, even if you're the most moderate Democrat that's ever existed, you know I'm obviously right, because you got to get the 50 votes. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. It's just math, right? And so finally, back to the Republicans, Anna's right. Their proposal for covering this tiny amount, quarter of Biden's proposal, I forgot who was president for a second, is to say, oh yeah, by the way, we'll pay for it, not by taxing the rich, never. Those are our best friends, by the way, we're populists. They don't want a 3.6% extra tax on the rich. They think that's just a crime against humanity, okay? But they don't mind taxes. They're willing to pay for it by taxing you. Through a gas tax, which is a much higher percentage of your income than it is for a rich person's income. A gas tax doesn't bother a rich person at all. It's minuscule to them, but it kills you when you're trying to get back and forth from work, right? And they want to pay for the roads by doing toll roads. So every time you drive, and where does it go? It goes to the private companies that built those roads. And who are they? They are the donors to the Republicans and the corporate Democrats. So Manchin and McConnell and all these guys are gonna get rich off of this so-called compromise, and their donors are gonna get filthy rich, because every time you drive, they're gonna take money out of your pocket. All in an effort to make sure that giant corporations and billionaires are not taxed 1 penny more. It's all gonna come from you. Look, if Biden went there and gave that speech, whether it's in Louisiana against Steve Scalise, who's one of the leaders in the House for the Republicans, or against Mitch McConnell, or against John Kennedy, their senator who's gonna run for re-election soon, or he went to West Virginia, did it against Manchin, or he went to Arizona and did it against Kristen Sinema, everyone would understand it and go, I don't want to pay toll. Nobody wants to pay a toll on the road. I don't want extra gas tax. And you're telling me that Manchin and Sinema and these Republicans want me to pay because they want to protect their rich donors? They would be furious and Biden would win easily. Now, the only question that remains is, does he really want to win? Or is this all just a game so that they could make their corporate donors happy? If they pass the Republican version, corporations would get richer. okay? And not one thing would take a penny out of their pocket. But you guys would have to pay for those roads and those bridges for the rest of your lives. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.